So let's talk a bit more about securing residency in Cyprus.
Yes.
What are the options available for investors interested in obtaining residency or even citizenship through
Right.
investment in Cyprus? And what are the key requirements and benefits that are associated with these programs?
Right. So first of all, Neil, the one program that is really still very, very popular because it's the easiest way to get in is the fast track permanent residency program. Basically, the investor needs to invest a minimum of 300,000 euros. It can be a maximum of 2 properties as long as the minimum investment is 300,000. It is quite exclusive in the fact that it can only be a newly built property or off plan or a property where transfer has not yet taken place. So it cannot be a resale. And unfortunately, it only applies to 2 generations in the same family line. So that'll be the main investor and all dependent children up to the age of 25. So as long as they haven't turned 26 yet and are still full-time students, that whole family will be able to qualify on that front. For those investors, Neil, that don't quite have that kind of money right now, we've also got a program called the slow track program. The reason I call it a slow track is because it'll take you around about 4 years to become a permanent resident, as opposed to the fast track, where basically within 4 to 6 months, you become a permanent resident. The beauty about both programs is that there's definitely a niche in terms of what the investors are looking for. So example, on the slow track program, Neil, you might say to me, listen, Jen, I've got 3 of my mates, we're not related, we all want to pool our money together. Can we buy property jointly and then each apply for residency? Answer is yes, you can do that. However, having you said to me, listen, I want to buy it with my mate for 300,000 euros on the fast track, no can do. It's only for a investor, spouse, and dependent children up to the age of 25. We also have other programs, Neil, for people that are wanting to do the immigration into Cyprus, where they want you to come on board to maybe look to work. It is quite a strict program that requires a lot of health checks, etc., proof of a job, proof you have a roof over your head. But the main interest that we're getting from a lot of South Africans is either the fast track, come in, got it done, or the slow track, as I mentioned, which takes you 4 years to become a permanent resident.
Okay, wonderful. I like the analogy of the fast and slow.
Yes, exactly.
It really
Neil,
sort of differentiates.
you did ask me to check a little bit about the citizenship through investment.
Yes,
Cyprus no
absolutely.
longer has that as available anymore. What basically happened in 2020, just around COVID time, there was a whole big rigmarole that happened where they found that the citizenship through investment program was not due diligently done. There were some nefarious characters who had managed to get onto the program. What the Cypriot government did, I took my hat off to them, is when the president heard about this whole big thing that had basically come off on Al Jazeera, it was a big expose, he called an emergency cabinet meeting. They sat around the table and he said, right, we are effectively closing the program now. They didn't put their head under the sand and say, look, we're going to find out who it is. Is it a politician? Are there any tenderpreneurs? Has anybody got their hand out? They made a decision to say, we're closing it until we can find out what's happened. So unfortunately, no longer can investors buy their way in to get a Cypriot passport. There's only 3 ways to do it. Unfortunately, it doesn't apply to you, Neil, because you're married, because the one way is through marriage. So if you happen to marry a Cypriot girl, a Cypriot boy, and you do your time once you've been through that spousal period of time, you will then be entitled through spousal rights to become a citizen. The second one is to do your time. Once you are a permanent resident, you physically have to live in Cyprus for a number of years, for a number of consecutive days in each year. And once your clock has gone up to that period, they will then allow you to put your application in. And the third way, but it's very onerous and there's a lot of areas of room there, is via business. But we're talking really, really big bucks to go in, huge, big setups. It can't just be an office where you're consulting. You need to employ a lot of locals. It has to be something that's worth of interest. So fortunately, no more can you buy your passport, but you can certainly get your residency, which is your first step anyway, if you're looking to make your plan be much more meaningful.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for clarifying that.